Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Your Local Haunt, the podcast where we dig around the depths and the darkness of the UK's haunted history so you don't have to. And tonight, we've got a special guest narration from one of my closest friends, who also has an extremely strong interest in the paranormal. With that being said, I'll hand you over to Callum Jones for the Edinburgh Vaults.
Beneath the elegant streets of Edinburgh's historic Old Town, hidden behind locked doors and ancient stone walls, lies a place that has become one of the most infamous haunted locations in the world. The Southbridge Vaults are a network of chambers buried beneath Edinburgh's South Bridge. For over 2 centuries, these dark rooms have been associated with poverty, crime, tragedy, and according to many who've walked through them, the unexplained. Visitors have reported hearing disembodied voices, feeling unseen hands touch them, witnessing dark figures in the shadows, and experiencing an overwhelming sense that they are not alone. But before we explore the ghosts said to wander these underground passages, we must first understand the very real and disturbing history that created their legend. The story begins in 1788, when Edinburgh completed the construction of Southbridge, an ambitious project designed to connect the crowded Old Town with the expanding areas to the south. To support the bridge, a series of 19 arches were built, and within those arches, dozens of rooms and vaults were created. These spaces were originally intended for legitimate businesses, workshops for tradespeople, storage rooms for merchants, taverns, and small shops. However, there was a major problem. The vaults were poorly ventilated. They were built directly into the earth, making them damp and vulnerable to flooding. The air was stale, sunlight never reached the chambers, and the walls were constantly covered with moisture. Many of the original businesses quickly abandoned the vault, leaving behind a hidden world beneath the city. By the early 19th century, the vaults had become home to Edinburgh's poorest citizens. Families who could not afford housing above ground moved into these cold, dark chambers. Imagine raising children without natural light. Imagine living with no running water, no proper sewage system, and little fresh air. The conditions were ideal for disease. Illness spread quickly, and many residents lived short, difficult lives. The vaults also gained a reputation as a haven for criminals. Contemporary records suggest that some chambers were used by illegal gamblers, thieves, and people involved in the city's underground economy. One of the most persistent stories links the vaults to the infamous resurrection men, body snatchers who supplied human corpses to Edinburgh's medical schools during the 18th and 19th century. While there is little historical evidence proving the body snatchers stored bodies inside the Southbridge vaults, the story remains part of the dark folklore surrounding them. And it is this combination of documented suffering and whispered rumours that laid the foundations for the hauntings that would later make the vaults famous. As Edinburgh modernised, the vaults gradually fell out of use. Following a series of floods in the 1800s, many of the chambers were sealed and eventually forgotten. For more than 100 years, they remained hidden beneath the city. Generations walked above them, unaware of abandoned rooms lying beneath their feet. It was not until the 1980s that part of the vaults were rediscovered during archaeological investigations. What the researchers found was a remarkable time capsule. Old furniture, pottery, bottles, and evidence of the lives once lived underground. But along with the historical discoveries came stories of something far more mysterious. The modern reputation of the Edinburgh Vaults as a haunted location began to grow after their rediscovery. Tour guides working in the vaults reported unusual experiences, footsteps echoing through the empty corridors, whispers when no one else was present, and the sensation of someone standing close behind them. Visitors who had no knowledge of the vault's legends described similar experiences, feelings of unease, sudden chills, dizziness, or the sense of being watched. Skeptics argue that the environment itself could explain many of these experiences. The vaults are dark, confined spaces with uneven temperatures, unusual acoustics, and a powerful psychological atmosphere. In places associated with death and suffering, the human brain can especially alert to sounds and sensations that might otherwise be ignored. Yet, even with these explanations, the stories continued to spread. Perhaps the most well-known spirit said to inhabit the vaults is a figure known as Mr. Boots. Unlike many ghost stories, Mr. Boots is not generally considered threatening. According to the guides and visitors, his presence is often announced by the sound of heavy footsteps, the unmistakable noise of someone walking through the stone corridors while nobody's there. Some witnesses claim to have seen the outline of a man wearing old-fashioned work boots standing silently in the shadows. Others describe feeling a hand touch their shoulder, only to turn around and find the room completely empty. No one knows who Mr. Boots was supposed to have been. There are no records identifying a person behind the legend. Some people believe he may represent a former worker or resident of the vaults. Others believe the character developed from generations of repeated stories passed between guides and visitors. If Mr. Boots is considered a harmless resident of the vaults, another alleged presence has a far more sinister reputation. Known simply as the Watcher, this entity is described as a tall, dark figure associated with feelings of intense fear and panic. Visitors have reported sudden nausea, overwhelming sadness, and the sensation of being stared at by something hidden in the darkness. Some have claimed to leave the vaults with unexplained scratches on their skin. Paranormal investigators have attempted to document the Watcher using cameras, audio recorders, and electromagnetic devices. But despite the decades of investigation, the Watcher is not yet ready to reveal himself. Over the years, the Edinburgh Vaults have attracted ghost hunters, psychics, and paranormal investigators from across the world. Many have spent nights within the ancient chambers, hoping to communicate with whatever may still linger in the darkness. Investigators have reported capturing strange sounds and unexplained voice recordings, phenomena often referred to as electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs. Some recordings are said to contain whispers, cries, or responses to the questions asked in empty rooms. Others have spoken of cameras malfunctioning, batteries draining unexpectedly, and sudden changes in the atmosphere of the vaults. Several paranormal teams have claimed to witness shadows moving with no person present, or to feel a presence standing just beside them. The vaults have also featured in numerous paranormal television programs, helping to spread their reputation as one of the most haunted places in Scotland. Whether experienced by seasoned investigators or first-time visitors, the stories that emerge from beneath Edinburgh streets share a common thread. Many leave convinced that something in the vaults is still watching, still waiting. Perhaps what makes the Edinburgh Vaults so fascinating is that the ghosts are inseparable from the history of the place itself. These are not simply stories told around a campfire. They are tales rooted in a location where real people once lived, struggled, suffered, and disappeared into the shadows of history. When visitors descend beneath the streets, they step into the same cold chambers where generations before them worked, hid, and survived. The damp stone walls, the narrow passages, and the heavy silence create a feeling that the past has never really truly left. Many who walk the vaults describe an overwhelming sensation, as though they are sharing the darkness with those who came before them. Perhaps that is why the legend endures. Every whisper, every unexplained footstep, and every fleeting shadow adds another chapter to the long and mysterious story of the vaults beneath Edinburgh. For more than 2 centuries, the Edinburgh Vaults have remained hidden beneath the city, keeping their secrets buried within cold stone walls. The lives once lived there have faded into history, but according to the countless visitors, some residents may have never truly left. Perhaps the heavy footsteps heard in the corridors belong to Mr. Boots, continuing his endless walk through the vaults he once knew. Perhaps the Watcher still waits in the darkest corners, observing those brave enough to enter its domain. Or perhaps there are countless other voices beneath Edinburgh that have yet to make themselves known. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the Edinburgh Vaults remain a place where history and the paranormal walk side by side. So if you ever find yourself wandering the ancient streets of Edinburgh after nightfall, remember this: beneath your feet lies a forgotten world of darkness, and some say it is not empty.
Thank you for listening to tonight's episode of Your Local Haunt. Don't forget to engage where you can, share where you can, and let us know what you want to hear next. Thank you.